Hi everybody, it's Honest John again. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm a big fan of the Olympics. I spend a lot of time just sitting around watching the Olympics, and I have to say that Brazil, they did a very good job with the Olympics, despite the fact that there were predictions that they were going to be a disaster. And there were a lot of reasons for those predictions. There was a lot of unrest. The president of the country was being impeached. There were strikes and protests leading up to the Olympics. But when it finally, and the Olympics did get off to a shaky start. There was, for example, there were these, the water in the diving pool turned a very weird shade of green. Some people said it was an algae bloom. They were worried that it might be harmful to the divers, but it turned out it was just that they had put chemicals in the pool that reacted badly against each other and turned the pool green. So at least as far as I know, it was pretty harmless. It just looked weird. They did eventually drain the pool and refill it with water that looked more like water. And there were these Australian coaches who just before the games were robbed at knife point. But for the most part, the athletes and visitors to Rio and the other areas where the games were held were kept pretty safe. But then Ryan Lochte came along with his cock and bull story about being robbed at gunpoint by criminals disguised as police officers. It didn't take long for his story to basically fall apart. It turned out that him and 3 other swimmers were drunk. They stopped. They vandalized this gas station, and they weren't robbed by the people pretending to be the police. There was a security guard in his security uniform who detained them and made them pay for the damage that they'd done. The irony is that nobody probably would have even noticed this if he hadn't have gone on TV and talked about how he was robbed by these people, and so then it came out what really happened, and it was an embarrassment to him, his family, the U.S. Olympic Committee, the U.S. swim team, and the country as a whole. So, yeah, way to go, Ryan. Way to represent your country. Let's hope we never hear from him again. And why would he do that? I guess he was jealous of all the attention that Michael Phelps and Katie Ledecky were getting and wanted the spotlight. Well, you got the spotlight now, Ryan. How's it feel? And then, of course, there was Hope Solo, who was the actual definition of poor sportsmanship after the U.S. women's soccer team, which was heavily favored, got eliminated in the quarterfinals and didn't get a medal. But then again, we're used to Hope Solo not having much class anyway. But with those exceptions, the U.S. athletes handled themselves very well and basically dominated the games. Now, there's only the Olympics are not completely over right now, but it's the last day, and there's only a couple of events left. And at this point, the U.S. has 46 gold medals, 37 silver, and 38 bronze, for a total of 121 medals. Nobody else even came close. And part of the reason for that is because over 100 of the Russian athletes were banned from the games. Now, the World Anti-Doping Agency recommended that the entire Russian Olympic team be banned, because the doping scandal in Russia is not just a few athletes trying to gain a competitive advantage. This was the Russian Olympic Committee and the highest levels of the Russian government conspiring to cover up doping by the athlete. They even snuck into testing facilities and changed the samples and did things like that. The Russian security forces did that. So Russia was able to compete as a country in the game, but over 100 of their athletes were banned. But what I liked most about the Olympics was watching sports that I don't usually get to see. Gymnastics, field hockey, fencing, judo, taekwondo, archery, badminton, ping pong, equestrian events. You know, I love to watch when the horses were jumping over things. I don't much like dressage. I mean, watching horses dance, I'm not into that. And you know, you can only watch so much swimming. I know they had to have a lot of heats because there's a lot of countries in the games. They couldn't just have them all race against each other at the same time. They had to do heats. But I mean, you can only watch people swim back and forth across a pool for so long without getting tired of it. Maybe if they would put some piranhas in the pool, that would make it a little more exciting. One surprising statistic: of the 45 medals awarded in shooting at the Olympics, the United States only won 3, 1 gold and 2 bronze. You would think that with our gun culture, we would dominate the shooting sports, but we don't. It seems that we love our guns, but we really don't do a very good job of aiming them. Maybe that's why we prefer assault weapons. But I have to say congratulations to Rio, congratulations to Brazil. They avoided the disaster and very successfully staged this year's Olympiad. But just as we don't know the long-term effects of Rio's polluted waters on the health of the athletes that were exposed to them, we really don't know what the effect of the amount of debt Brazil ran up in order to stage the Olympics will have in the long term on Brazil's economy. But for now, congratulations, Brazil. You staged a really nice Olympics. Thanks for listening.